Hello, Jaime Couttolenc here, and my dearest friend Anton Teruel. Today, I would like to share a little bit about how to handle emotional processes. Let's start with anger. When we are in a state of anger, it is a very dangerous state. I remember reading one time something about the Dalai Lama speaking about anger, and he was saying, because we are in such a state of um, manipulation, so to speak, from that strong emotion of anger or that state of anger, we could even end up doing things that we would otherwise never do, and even worse, unwantingly. Meaning, like, if we would be without the state of anger, in a clear mind, we will never do that. So he was saying in this text that I was reading, like, you can even end up finishing with your freedom or with your life just by a state, by an instant of anger. And he was continuing saying that, for instance, you're in a conversation and the heat ramps up and both parties are very angry, and at the end of the day, I don't know, they start discussing more and more, and bad speech, and then with physical violence, and then suddenly, by that place, both of people would be really high up in a sympathetic nervous system dominance, high up there, which means fight or flight response, which means you are in a survival mode. You are completely attentive to what's going on, and your senses are all dilated and ready for fight, right? Now, we can even back up a little bit, and even though there is no physical contact, there's been emotional science behind, study, research, saying that even by somebody being in the state of anger, perhaps, your jaws are already really, tight, and even the body language might be that your fists are already closed. Even perhaps you don't intend to engage in any fight at all, and with the other person, but this is already the body language that you unconsciously might at times engage when you're in a deep state of anger. So what does this tell you? Well, certainly your system, your intelligence is preparing you to fight. And that's the dangerous place. Because when you're all ramped up, and all your senses are dilated, perhaps perhaps you misunderstand the act of the other person that is reaching, I don't know, like the hand to the back of the body, and you think that person is grabbing a tool to damage you, and then there is a knife, and suddenly you might stab somebody. This was the Dalai Lama explaining in detail what might occur in a state of anger. So this is how this might end up finishing your freedom. You might end up in jail, or you might get killed, and then that's it, your life. And all by a ramped up encounter, which you didn't thought it was gonna go that far. So again, without going into so much more of the specifics that His Holiness the Dalai Lama was describing, but just going back to the point of being cautious with how we deal with our emotions, especially those that can be very detrimental to ourselves, such as anger or such as fear, when you might be being in a state of illusion. You might be, there is a shade because the tree in the night moved and you are thinking that somebody's there or an animal. So this is what I mean with being careful to how we manage our emotions, afflictive emotions. So, well, by the way, this state of anger, scientifically speaking, is called refractory period, which is, it's also good to know what's going on in your conscious mind. I mean, in your psychology. When you're in that place, all you see is red, or all you see is negative. For instance, you're talking with a person and you're having the discussion with a person, say your partner, and if you're under that state of anger and that state of refractory period, all you see is negativity from that person. And that's certainly not objective. Thus, you would be potentially relating from that place of lack of objectivity, thus prone to create more problems, because you will be arguing from a place of lack of objectivity, because you are only seeing all the negativity or all the bad stuff that person does, because you are not objective, because you are under that state of refractory period where our nature, this is deep in our systems, we are seeing that in order for us to survive. I hope I'm being clear. So, what can you do about it? Well, in our last video, we talked about cultivating attention and mindfulness and having awareness upon what's going on. But certainly when you're in a refractory period, it's much more difficult to take hold and be conscious of what's going on. So what's the antidote? Well, meditation and contemplative practices, which enhance this consciousness or this capacity to pay attention to what's going on, etc. However, there is other techniques, like for instance, once you notice that you're in that state, which again, you need that consciousness, you need that place of cultivating your mind in order to be able to observe that. But once you do, then how can you properly deal with that? And this is what's interesting. There's a few tools that you can use to manage. You can, for example, you can go and take a shower, hot shower. This will diminish those emotions. You can be attentive to how you respond to the other person and say, hey, whatever, wife or husband, I feel that this is not the best time for me to talk because I'm sensing my emotions or whatever. Let's continue the conversation later, tomorrow morning or in 2 days. And then that's it. And then you take a step, you take a pause. You withdraw from the situation without avoiding it, and neither are you kind of procrastinating about it, because it's not leaving what has to be discussed for later just because you don't want to deal with it right now. No, it's being aware that right now you are not in the best state of mind and emotions to engage further in that conversation. Thus, you accept it, you step back, and then you carry on later. As easy as that. It's good if both sides of the relationship understand this and understand the potential ask for space, let's come back later, from the other partner, so it's easier. Otherwise, the other person would be maybe trying to, hold you back from not going away. So, and then you can also use that space to go and take a walk by yourself in silence, in nature. You can listen to music, especially like high vibrational music, like classical music or these kind of things. You can take a nap. You can pamper yourself with whatever is constructive. I wouldn't go and indulge myself in a bottle of tequila in Mexico or vodka or whatever, because that's not very constructive. But you can pamper yourself with a tea or, I don't know, a nice meal or whatnot, a book, and or things like this, just relaxation. And then by promoting that state of relaxation, you will ultimately downregulate the heightened function of your sympathetic nervous system into balance, and then get back your clarity and your sense of groundness. And from that place, carry on your talk whenever is needed, whenever you feel ready. It doesn't have to be later on today or tomorrow morning. Maybe you need an extra day or an extra week. Make it so, especially if it's very valuable, the conversation or the person or the topic you're talking about, that it's already under a sensitive state, which was a prior conflict or discussion. Well, you want to handle things smoothly so that you get back to balance. And to bestly do that, you want to be balanced yourself and in the best place mentally and emotionally yourself. And then carry on. What do you think, Anton?
Okay. I think good habits come from consciousness, but you cannot get in the state of consciousness if you have ignorance. And I think anger, fear, anxiety comes from the same, comes from ignorance. Most of the people are living now in a total ignorance of themselves. The real problem of this humanity is not the bad habits, it's the lack of consciousness. But how can we get in that consciousness? We only can get in that consciousness by one step. This step is called attention. Attention to yourself, attention to your inner process, attention to your states of mind, your thoughts, attention to this present, this very present moment. My invitation is you really need the intention to change. If you are now feeling that life is alright with anxiety, with fear, with anger, if you feel that everybody is in that mood and it's okay, you are not ready to get in a state of consciousness. So you first need to be como desencantado de la vida.
Disenchanted from life.
Disenchanted from life, but this kind of life that is full of sufrimiento. Suffering. If you are okay with suffering, you must know that you are decidiendo
¿Cómo?
decidiendo sufrir.
deciding to suffer.
You are deciding to suffer. It's not something that is happening to you. It's something that you choose. You choose to suffer because you think life is that way. But it's not true. Life can be full, can be very pleasant, but you have to get in the state of consciousness. But the only step can let you get in the consciousness is attention. Attention, attention is the real tool that is going to give you the possibility to change your life. Because you have a big lack of knowing of yourself. So this ignorance state let you stay for always in suffering. You have to be honest and to see yourself and to see your life and to watch your inner process and be honest. Why? Because it's not okay to live in suffering. It's not okay to live like everybody does. It's not okay to choose bad habits that gives you una frecuencia baja.
A low or a lower frequency.
A lower frequency. We all are energy in a frequency, in a vibration. Vibration. You can choose what kind of vibration you want to reflect, but you have to choose it only by one step, is attention. You have to be aware of the present moment. You have to be aware of your inner process. You have to be aware of your body. You have to be aware of life that is having place just in this very present moment. So my invitation is, please try to be aware to the present moment. Attention is the tool.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next video, and perhaps later on, next video or some other, we can talk a little bit about how to train your attention into the present moment, or wherever you want to put your attention.
Excellent. See you.
Thank you.